Hey everyone, welcome back to the Networking with Michelle show. Your host, Michelle Gomez, doing 100 books in 100 days. We're on book 3, Expect to Win 10 Proven Strategies for Thriving in the Workplace by Carla Harris. Now, I first heard of Carla Harris in 2017 when I did the Paul Brunson mentoring program under Thought Leadership, and Carla Harris was the recognized name. I immediately bought her books. It was this book, as well as Strategize to Win, which I'm going to read later on. And so I've had this book for 2 years, and I just now got to it, right? Hence the need for the challenge. And I wish this was the book I received and could have read 10 years ago. And if you're not familiar with Carla Harris, she is an African American woman who is an executive with Morgan Stanley. And in this book, she literally talks about how she has built her career at the investment firm, right? And 10 years ago, I was in banking and finance. If you don't know, I have an undergrad degree in finance. I was fortunate to work for Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, and Invesco Investment Services. And at that time, it was there was black people there, right? I'm not going to say there wasn't. There was definitely black people available, but I didn't have the knowledge of mentorship, right? I didn't have the language or the definition in order for me to seek out mentorship on a tangible level, let alone really knowing how to navigate the corporate space, especially when I was at Invesco. Chase was a little bit different. But if I had the vision and the patience and the guidance, I would have stayed at Invesco a little bit longer. I don't know. I go back and forth with that all the time. But Carla does a great job sharing her career struggles and wins in this book. And she has been successful not just at Morgan Stanley, but also with her side hustle. Like, she has recorded, I want to say a gospel album, but she's recorded music, and she talked about how she had a chance to perform at a company party. I want to say Christmas party, but she had a chance to sing at a company party. And lots of times we get hesitant of merging our two worlds together. What does that look like? What are people going to say? And she did that. And from there, people got to see a different side of her, which led to a job promotion, right, internally within the company. From there, she was able to, I think, record her album, meet the right people that allowed her to get in the studio to record her album. So it was just a great story, whether it was within her career or what I'll call side hustle. I don't think she was calling it that at that time. But some of the things I got out of the book was, one, know your own agenda, right? And I remember when I was at Invesco, I started my nonprofit called Financial Achievement, and I ran out of money, and I didn't know nothing about having a nonprofit, but they said it was a conflict of interest. I also had stocks, and that was a conflict of interest because it wasn't on the preferred vendors list or whatever they called it. So that turned me off day one in training, or week one in training. So I kind of knew, it's like, okay, I'm going to be here for 3 years and I'm going to roll out. And I left around 2. And that's a different agenda. But even with that, if I had a career agenda with defined goals and maybe even someone to help me come up with a strategy, I think I would have been a lot more patient in that with that company. And it was somewhat annoying because I know some of my peers, especially white males, were applying they came in entry level, moved up maybe to the second level or whatever, and then they were applying to be internal wholesaler, which is really good money, great commissions and stuff. But they were interviewing 5, 6, 7, 8 times for the same position. And that was just the track to go on. And I couldn't see that for myself. I couldn't see that for myself. And then the other thing with Invesco, which is a great company. When people get there, they stay there, you know. And I don't want there to be a high turnover rate, but there's just not a lot of positions open, right? Because people literally stay and grow their careers with that company, which can be a gift and a curse. And so I just felt limited with our opportunity there. But I feel like if I had someone that helped me create this career agenda, I would have been better. And as I was reading this book, I was like, how do I apply this to the law firm, right? Which is a different kind of struggle right now as a small business. As successful as it is as a law firm or the two attorneys, at the end of the day, it's still a small business. So with that, you are the captain of your career, creating a 90-day rule, creating a plan within that first 90 days, getting to know people, being personable within those first 90 days, because people are forming their perception of who you are immediately, right? So you want to definitely put your best foot forward with all personnel, you know, from the top down, lateral, across, diagonal, whatever you want to call it, because perception is everything. And one thing I've learned, when we get these jobs, people know we have the skill sets and we're able to perform, and most of us are performing at an average or above average level. But do you have the personality? Are you a good fit with this team? Are you a good fit with this department? Do you have the soft skills to manage people, right? I already know you have the hard skills to do the job, but now do you have the skills to manage people? So I found that to be very interesting, and that's just something I've been learning overall this year. One thing Carla Harris is very well known for is coming up with the mentor, advisor, and sponsor. And she says the mentor is there to tailor career advice. The sponsor advocates for you. And the advisor answers discrete career questions. So I thought this was very interesting. I think mentoring is the most common one. Past 3 to 5 years, sponsor has been a new word to me. And basically your sponsor is someone, when you're not in the room, they're going to recommend you for that role. They're going to recommend you for that job, for that task. You know, so we all need a sponsor. If you're a business owner, they're going to suggest you as the go-to vendor or the person they can collaborate with. And then the advisor, I didn't expect this definition, but it was the person that answered discrete career questions. But it makes sense. And she had someone internally within the company that was advising her. And one thing she explains in the book is you have to be very careful about the information you give people when you have conversations with these advisors, mentor, or sponsors. I thought that was really interesting, and that's just life, period, right? Let's see here. I think the biggest thing she discusses is really about, you know, being authentic and showing up as your authentic self every day, using your voice, speak up appropriately when you need to, and that's so important, especially as women, for you to speak up, because once again, we're here, we're in the room, we got in the room for a reason. So it's kind of like you need to confirm, right? You need to confirm that this person made the right choice. And I think you can make that confirmation while still being very you. So make sure you leverage your voice when you are in these rooms and these spaces, because your perspective matters. Your perspective matters. So Expect to Win by Carla Harris. Great read. I think all of it's a good read. I'll probably give it a B. I think I geeked out on it because have the finance background, so everyone may not, geek out on it like I did, but definitely has some great points on there. So once again, I'm going to have the Amazon and the Audible link in the show notes, so be sure to check that out. Also, shout out to the sponsors, affiliates. We have Let's Get Checked for at-home wellness testing, and Stitcher Premium for $4.99 a month. You can have commercial-free podcasts, news, and all the other good stuff, right? So be sure to check those links out in the show notes. Remember, I believe in you, and a personal connection leads to an influential network. Thanks for networking with Michelle.